South Dakota's pushing it to 5. They win set number 4, 25-23.
Hey Coyote fans, welcome back into the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee. South Dakota Volleyball went on the road this week and picked up a pair of wins in the state of North Dakota, beating North Dakota last week on Thursday and then North Dakota State on Saturday. And here to talk about it is the head coach of the Coyotes, Leanne Williamson. Coach, I don't know if it was the recipe, but you kind of did the same thing both matches, drop set 1, win 2 and 3, then decide to go to set 5 and win that one. So thrilling victories. If that was the recipe, it sure worked last week.
Yeah, I like how you put that, decided to go to 5. Yeah, you know, I think every time you're on the road, it's going to be a tough match, and you're not always going to play as clean as you do at home. So even though obviously we would have liked to not go to 5 for both of those, I was really happy with just the way we responded in some of those moments, and honestly responding to losing that first set, because I think that can be a really tough situation to be in when you are on the road. So yeah, I mean, very similar matches, very similar, obviously the same outcomes. The way we got there was a little bit different, but I think this team just continues to kind of learn that they do have some control, you know, and as we get a little bit cleaner, as we get a little bit more aware of, you know, what we can do on our side to maybe impact the game a little bit more, that's when you see us really taking charge. And I felt like there were multiple times this weekend that we just looked very good, very composed, and then sometimes when we didn't, but that's a part of the game.
You know, a couple of players really stood out over the weekend. I thought Madison Harms was one of them. She had a couple of key blocks for this team and obviously got her share of kills as well.
Yeah, you know, she continues to be a go-to for us, you know, on both the offensive and the defensive end. And, you know, I think she's going to continue to be a big part of who we are. And people are trying to stop her, you know, and we just keep working with our setters to figure out when to get her the ball, you know. And I think that Avery did a good job of kind of making some adjustments of when we were setting her, so that we could really capitalize on her being able to have that success. And then defensively, she just continues to learn just a little bit more about herself, about the game, and how she can impact the game with her block. So she's one that people have to be aware of, and I think she has kind of really bought into the game plan in a lot of those moments. But yeah, she's a huge part of our success, definitely was this weekend.
And speaking of defensively, Cameron Ferris was another one who got a lot of digs this week.
Yeah, you know, we obviously made that switch at the libero position a couple weeks ago, and I feel like she's done a good job of kind of running with it, whether it's from the serve-receive line, whether it's from the defensive line, but same thing. She still just has so much to learn and so much more she can get better at, and that's what's really fun about this team is we don't feel like we've hit our limit. You know, we feel like there are so many more changes that we can make, adjustments that we can make, that will allow our individual players to have a little bit more success, but then obviously the team as a whole. But I actually think Cameron in serve receive in a lot of ways has kind of evened us out a little bit. She's pretty confident back there and is giving Avery some really good opportunities to get all of our hitters involved.
We've talked a lot on this show about growth of this team. It's kind of been the theme, if you will, of from the start, and that includes players who continue to grow their roles. One of them who we'll talk to coming up in this show is Samantha Laird, and she saw her most opportunities of the season come this last weekend. I don't know if she had more than 17 attacks in any match, but this weekend I think she had 34 at least in each of these two matches and really took advantage of some opportunities in her growing role.
Yeah, I think she's one that we knew she could, I think, honestly challenge for some playing time early on in her career. She's showing that right now. But I think part of it is we've just seen that kind of steady increase with her. She continues to make small adjustments, and I think her control with her attacking is really what can set her apart at times, is she can get out a system swing, she can attack the block, she just moves the ball around really well. So there were times, you know, on Thursday night I think was a little bit of a higher level game for her than what Saturday was, but she had a set on Saturday where I believe she had 5 kills, you know, for our team in one specific set. So she has the ability to do that at a very high level, and I think we're just going to continue to see her grow as the season progresses and as she gets more experience, you know. And obviously you can say that about her, but right now we have 3 freshmen that are playing at a good clip right now, and with 3 freshmen is going to come some growing pains as well, but I think our team just continues to kind of weather those storms right now, and until we find those opportunities for us to really pull away.
You talk about some of those freshmen getting opportunities, and you have the job that you have to win now, and that's the focus, but you're always building for the future. you're able to do that both right now with these freshmen getting opportunities. It's a really good sign for where the program is and the next several years.
Yeah, and I think what's hard is obviously with some freshmen on the floor, that means that there's some returners that aren't playing right now, and that can be very difficult as well. But I feel like our team is handling that very well, and I think these freshmen are playing because they've earned that playing time, and that's a good place for us to be. It's a good place for our team to be. But we continue to get pushed, each day in our own gym, which is important for us when we get and we step out on the floor against somebody else. We're used to competing at a high level. We're used to being pushed, and there's not many practices that we feel like we haven't gotten better because of that. So, I think with the freshmen, again, just that growth mindset. And it is funny because I do think we've talked a lot about growth in the past as well, past years. This isn't the first time we've said it, but I do think that just with the makeup of our team, I think it's become even more important and probably more of a focal point than what maybe other people have always heard me say in the past.
Well, head coaches will always start the season saying we've got a lot of room to grow.
Absolutely.
And if you don't, then you can't be topped out early, right? And it's always trying to build for. You always want to be at your best, right? But you really want to be at your best at the end of the conference season as you get to the conference tournaments, because at the end of the day, those are the wins that stick around in the minds of these student athletes for years.
Yeah. Well, and I think it is hard to remember that at times. And as coaches, we have to be optimistic, but we also have to find those things that can continue to make us better, which is also finding the negatives. So it's always that balance, that fine line, right, of, hey, we're happy with this. We feel like we're making good strides here, but we can't get complacent either. And I think I think our coaching staff has done a good job with that. I think our team has bought into that. So even though we feel good about going 1-0 twice this weekend, and even though we did a lot of good things, I still can, watch film and look back and say, hey, here's 3 more things, though, that we can really clean up to help us play at a higher level as we progress.
I know we always talk about road games and how challenging they can be just because you're playing in a different environment, you're playing on a different schedule and some of that. When you go to a 5th set, it gets even more difficult on the road, but your team handled that very well this past week. What is the message going into a 5th set on some of these matches when you're on the road and you're just trying to, that race to 15?
I mean, honestly, we've talked a lot about we've been here before, which, it's not always where you want to be, is just constantly being in the 5th set, because anything can happen once you get to that. But at the same time, that experience early on in the season has taught us a lot. I think we lost our first 2 5th set matches, but we learned so much about ourselves of how you have to attack those games and how you have to play to win, and you can't play not to lose. There's a big difference there. And I just felt like, especially on Saturday, we just came out with a different intent to us again. And, obviously as the coach, you want to be able to see that earlier on in the match, but they're making it work when it matters the most. And that we're obviously very happy with.
I'm sure some people have noticed this in the past, but North Dakota State's a little bit different because they don't play in the basketball arena like a lot of these matches are played in. They've got their own facility. It's unique. It's kind of a tight-knit environment. It's a little bit different. How different is it to play in versus maybe playing in the Sanford Coyote Sports Center or some of these other road venues where you're playing in a basketball arena?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a smaller venue, but the fans are on top of you. It's loud. It's a very tough environment to play in, and they do a good job of having promotions and getting a lot of people in the seats as well. So it's actually a gym that we've really struggled with these last couple of years. So I think for a team that doesn't have as much experience, and for a team that we are playing with freshmen and people that are going through this conference for the first time, I was really happy to see how we handled that environment this time. So I think it's great for them. I think it's a great atmosphere. It reminds me a little bit of the Den, back when we were playing up there, although they can seat a whole lot more people than we could. But just the fact that fans are on top of you, it is a pretty intimate atmosphere, and it's loud. But we love being able to challenge ourselves in those moments, and to be able to win, at the end of the season, we've got to win on the road, so we've got to be comfortable with playing in those different venues.
What were your best takeaways from this past week in getting those wins?
I think number one, Harms and Bryn did a good job of doing their job at a high level. The blocking wise, I think they had made people think a little bit, just because we did have hands up in front of them. But Harms obviously offensively had a great weekend, but I think Bryn's really starting to come into her own too. She's letting her arm go. She's a lot more consistent right now. She's hitting to good areas of the floor, and when people have to pay attention to our middles, it opens everything else up. And I think that's in some ways that's also why you see Kylan and Sam and Amanda having some success on the pins, not only because they're good volleyball players, but also just because they have some different looks. They have some openings in front of them, because people have to key in on our middles. And when they do that, it creates seams. So we got to continue to keep them involved. So that's a big takeaway. And then I think the other thing is the serve and pass game has improved for us. I say that anytime people ask what's the key to success, and a lot of times it is going to be serve and pass. And I feel like we have done a better job of really getting ourselves in system where we can utilize our middles, goes back to that point, but being able to spread out our offense has been huge for us. And when we don't have just one attacker, it makes a big difference. So I think the serve and pass game, and then I think our middles having the success that they have had are probably the two biggest takeaways, and now we've got to clean up a few errors along the way, some management situations that I feel like we can take care of a little bit better.
Coyotes coming off of a couple of wins at North Dakota and North Dakota State. The Coyotes will play a split home and road schedule this week, and a whole lot of matches coming up in a short amount of time. We'll talk to Coach Leanne Williamson about that coming up in the Coyote Volleyball Show. But up next, Samantha Laird, the freshman from Omaha, who's been getting more and more opportunity. She'll join us and talk about that opportunity. That's next when we continue on the Coyote Volleyball Show, presented by Scooters Coffee.
The Coyote Volleyball Show is brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.
Welcome back into the Coyote Volleyball Show, presented by Scooters Coffee. Our guest this week is Samantha Laird, the freshman from Omaha, Nebraska, went to Westside High School. Samantha and her team coming off of a nice road trip to North Dakota, beat UND last Thursday, and then North Dakota State on Saturday. Samantha, how fun was that trip, getting 2 wins on this road trip? Really thrilling victories in 5-setters. What was the trip like?
It was a ton of fun, especially starting off at UND. It was a big jump from Denver or the past weekend, but Denver was fun, but then building off of that, I thought the 5th set was very fun and exciting, and then NDSU, it was good to beat them too. So it was overall very, very fun.
In the North Dakota game, you ended with a career-high 13 kills. You've continued to increase your role with the volleyball team. How much fun was that North Dakota game and getting to double digits in kills?
It was good. It was exciting. It was good to get that and achieve that, but also just a good accomplishment, and I want to build off of that. So, yeah.
You kept building off of it on Saturday against North Dakota State. 8 more kills in that one. And you look at your effort the last few games. You've been able to get at least 7 kills in 4 straight matches, and you've been getting more opportunities. What have you focused on individually to continue to grow your role with the volleyball team?
I've just been trying to be more comfortable and learn each day and become more just comfortable with the system and the players, and I think I've done a good job, and I've gotten more comfortable each day, and I don't know, I've seen it pay off, so yeah.
How hard is it sometimes, someone competitive like yourself, you're sitting there and you want to get more opportunities, you know they're going to come, but you're kind of waiting for your opportunity. How hard can that be, standing on the sidelines knowing you're still part of something?
It's been hard, but I'm glad I've gotten the opportunity. I want to keep getting this opportunity, so I just think working hard in practice and building, finding what I need to work on each game and bringing that into practice the next week. So yeah.
What has it done for your confidence as you continue to see more and more time and kind of build that chemistry with this team on the floor?
I think each game I've become more confident just because I understand my abilities and what I'm capable of. So I think just knowing that everyone else has confidence in me has also helped me a lot too.
You got some veterans that you play alongside with, along with some of the younger players, but what can you take from some of these veteran players that have helped you maybe mold for your game and continue to grow?
I think just like looking back on their success and like how they've found success on the court, I think that's helped me a lot, and especially talking to like Elizabeth, who's had a very successful career, I think has helped me a lot and just be more comfortable, honestly. So, yeah.
When you look around and you see a lot of young players playing significant roles right
Yeah.
now, it's good for right now because there's a lot of talent, but that's
Yeah.
really cool for the future. How exciting is that, seeing just how this team continues to build with some younger players?
I think I'm very proud of all of us, and I think that everyone's done a really good job of just like jumping in and taking care of their role. And yeah, I mean, I think it shows how good we could be in the future with how much we're gonna build and grow right now.
What has been this experience like for you in year number one of collegiate volleyball? You play a lot of tournaments early in the season. Now you get to conference play. What has the adjustment been like for you in your first season?
I think it's not easy, obviously, but I think we've all done a very good job of just adjusting to the amount of time we have to put into everything, and like the hard work and everything. So I think it's just been an adjustment, but I think it's been coming along very well. So.
What do you like about this team and the possibilities that exist here throughout the season?
I think we're all really fun and we get along very well, and we just find ways to like have fun off the court and on the court all together. And I think our connections and our just the way we like communicate and are with each other is very good, and I think it's really fun to just be a part of this team. So, yeah.
Back home this week for you get a match on Thursday, and back home. How nice is it to be back home? How much do you like the home games?
I love the home games. The atmosphere is great, and I think the support that I feel like when we're here and we all feel the same way is very great. And I think that, I don't know, it's just a great atmosphere, and I'm very lucky to play here.
You guys have played in a lot of intense matches so
Yes.
far this season, a lot of five-setters, and I know that South Florida one stands out because it was at home with a big
Yeah.
crowd, but how much do you take away from those thrilling victories? And I know you'd love to get it done faster because
Yeah.
they're exhausting, but they got to be a lot of fun to play in.
I mean, I think you can just see how well we like come together in those matches, and we never like lose our fight. Like especially in the South Florida game, like we were down like 9-2, and we never back down. So I think you can just see how we move on from bad, like when we lose points or whatever. I think we just never give up.
All right, what's your message to fans to get them to come out and see this team in action at home?
Come support us because we're so fun to watch.
All right, thanks for the time. Really appreciate
you.
it. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
All right, that's Samantha Laird, the true freshman from Omaha, joining us here on the Coyote Volleyball Show. When we come back, head coach Leanne Williamson back with us. We'll preview the week that's upcoming for Coyote Volleyball. This is the Coyote Volleyball Show, presented by Scooters Coffee.
The Coyote Volleyball Show is brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.
We're back on the Coyote Volleyball Show, presented by Scooters Coffee. Great to have you alongside for this episode. The Coyote Volleyball team back home on Thursday before a road trip to Kansas City on Saturday. Coach, this will be the first time you kind of have this schedule. So it'll be a different, unique challenge for your team playing a home game on Thursday, which I know you'll enjoy, but then it's a turnaround and a road trip for Saturday.
Yeah, obviously excited, number one, to be back home, playing in front of our fans and in the CSC. It's a place that we thoroughly enjoy being in, and it should be a good test playing a team we haven't played yet in St. Thomas, and we actually had the opportunity to watch them live. They were at a tournament that we were early on in the preseason. We just didn't play each other, so I think they've done some good things. I think they're going to be a great challenge for us, another opportunity for us to try to go 1-0. And then you're right, getting on the bus that next day is always a little bit difficult, after a later night staying here, but I think they're definitely going to be ready for that rematch. We felt like it was a match that we kind of let slip away in a lot of ways, and I think we've changed a lot since then. So I'm looking forward to that matchup and being able to kind of retest ourselves and see where we're at.
Kind of unique playing Kansas City for a second time already without having played everybody in the Summit League.
Yeah, with our split schedule, that definitely happens. I think last year it was possibly NDSU that maybe that was some team. So it's definitely it's different. There will be two teams that we have not played yet, and we will have already played Kansas City twice. But I think again, it's a great opportunity for us to play some of the best and really kind of figure out where we're at.
What do you see in St. Thomas for Thursday's matchup that maybe provides some challenges for your team?
You know, they're just different. They play a little bit different, but I think they move the ball around well. You know, so it's not, they're not always going to be the most traditional. We've got to be able to dig with range, and luckily we do talk about that a lot. But I do think it's going to be a little bit different of just seeing some new people, and they do have some a lot of new faces on the court. There's not a ton that's back from last year with some injuries that they've had. So I think it'll be a good opportunity, I think, especially for some of our young players to have to adjust to a whole new team.
It'll also be the pink out game as well, which is always a neat opportunity. And I know here just a week ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago, I guess it was, the last home game, you and your staff were wearing white shirts with green writing, and it was for student mental health. And I know that all leads to the Mental Health Awareness Week and all of that. So a couple of really good causes that you guys get the opportunity to support.
Yeah, and I you know, those causes are all near and dear to our hearts too, in some different ways. Whether it's individual experiences, you know, personal experiences, and I think being able to bring some recognition to it is obviously something that we are happy to be a part of. And you know, I think our Dig Pink game has always gone very well. So I hope people show up in pink the one day that we don't want them wearing red, just to again bring that awareness piece.
Probably for the fashion people, it's the one day that it's okay to have your red coyote hat with a pink shirt on, right?
Correct, yes. Yes, that is it.
Coach, you look at the upcoming schedule, and we kind of briefly talked about this, but you get a matchup on Thursday at home, and then you're at Kansas City. Your team turns around and plays Tuesday and Thursday of next week. How does that change your schedule, and does it start now as you prepare for these matches coming so quickly together to try to still get your practice time and have the team prepared, but also to be able to recover their bodies in time?
Yeah, we actually talked about it at practice today of just this week is really important for us. Just being at home, not having to travel on Wednesday. We get 3 full practices here, which is we're just not going to see until after this stretch at that point. So I think this week is really important for us. We've got to win the day each day, get a little bit better, and honestly, maybe not even a little bit better, get a lot better in these next couple days, because once we start playing, it's going to be a lot of the prep for that next opponent and the recovery aspect and making sure that physically and mentally we're ready to go. So we're gonna work hard these couple days at practice, and then we've got to be mentally focused to be able to go from one opponent to the other. But that Tuesday match obviously presents some challenges, but it's all a part of it. It's all a part of the schedule. It's all a part of the process, and I know our team will come ready to play.
I know staying focused will be very, very important, but as you look at your team this week, what do you need to see out of this group this week to try to go 1-0 each opportunity you get?
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of the big keys are coming into place. So I think we're figuring those out pretty well right now. To me, it's some of those smaller plays that we can handle a little bit more efficiently. You know, whether it's a first contact, being in system just a little bit more, free balls, down balls, tips, where we're there, just being able to push it up just a little bit so we can get everybody involved instead of our setter only having one option in those moments. That's probably one of the biggest things I want to see right now. But I think the other portion of it is just continuing to give our attackers opportunities to attack against different block schemes, different defenses, so that they can continue to expand their range of just what shots they're able to hit and how to best utilize what they're giving us.
Well, another opportunity coming up this week. Coach, thanks for the time. Really appreciate it. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
All right, that's Leanne Williamson, the head coach of the Coyote Volleyball team. Back home on Thursday. Wear your pink for the pink out game on Thursday night. And then the Coyotes are on the road on Saturday as they take on Kansas City. Keep up to date with everything with Coyote Volleyball by going to goyotes.com. That's going to do it for us for the Coyote Volleyball Show this week, presented by Scooters Coffee.
The Coyote Volleyball Show is brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.